Nicole is a good friend of mine who I had to hunt down to do this podcast. She did not want to do it, but I was very persuasive because she is someone who I have had the privilege of walking alongside over the years as she navigated a very common and typical experience that happens in our society. But common does not make it easy or make it normal. She's a mum of 4 incredible now adult children, and she is going to share her story of rewriting her future, restoring and being an incredible, outstanding single mum, woman, midwife, and all of the other things. You will not want to miss this. Hello, Nicole. No, it's so nice to have you. Have a drink. Start away. Well, this has been a long time coming because you kept rejecting me.
Yeah,
every time I asked you, and I just kept coming back for you. So it's nice to actually have you here. Thank you. I know you're under sufferance a little bit.
No, I'm very grateful to be here.
You are not, don't say.
I was thinking on the way here, I was like, how many years have we?
I know, a long time.
Life.
Well, I met you when I think Lucy, your youngest, was about 18 months, because I remember coming to your house with our friend Leanne and you were cooking your kids chicken strips. I remember that. And yeah, she was about...
I was cooking chicken strips.
Yeah. You were like mother of the year.
4
kids. And I think, Luce was about 18 months. So she's
nearly, or 18.
Yeah, so a long time. And we've seen a lot in 18 years.
Yeah, gosh.
And when I was thinking about this project, you were on my list, and I know you probably think, why? Because you've said why to me, but many reasons. And I've even told you this, and you probably have forgotten, but I'm going to remind you that I have used you as example in my counselling room many times. I never said your name, don't worry. I didn't, I was like, this is my friend. No, never said your name, but I've often used and referred to you as someone who I've so respected and observed you navigate some really challenging times as a woman, as a mum, as a wife, and you've done it so well. And I know you're probably sitting here going, hello. But from an external point of view, who I see it all. I see people that navigate a lot of the things that maybe you've experienced, and we'll get to in a moment. But you have just been so, I think, gracious, capable, like consistent, and just in it, really balanced. And so I've often referred to you as my friend who, this is what I've seen in her, and I would recommend that maybe let's try that. So that's why you're here.
Well, thank you.
Not just because you're my friend, but because I've watched you on the sidelines do some pretty awesome things, really awesome things. So let's start with the fact that you are a mum of 4 children.
Cool. Yeah, big humans now.
Big adults.
Yeah, so Annie is 24, going on 25. She's a teacher. Zachy is 23.
Just got engaged.
Wow. To his child, like schoolgirl sweetheart. They're just moved in together. Millie is 19, nearly 20, just having done 7 months abroad in the UK, living at home and navigating her next chapter. And Lucy is 18 and just moved to Perth to play footy.
I know, just got drafted.
Yeah. Crazy.
So you got these 4 incredible kids who, as I said, I've known since they were little, who are now adults, and all like just incredibly grounded and doing what they love. And it's a real testament to you. And I can say that boldly because it's the truth, right?
Yeah. I think, it was driving here, I was reflecting a little bit on that. And actually I had a chat to Annie this morning, and she just was like, I'm just proud of the woman that you are, because that's been a reason why I'm the woman that I am. And I was like, oh, that's a crazy thing to reflect on, because you just don't often have time to reflect on that. I'm very proud of them all, but it has taken a tribe. I think the willingness to invite the tribe has been part of the reason why they are who they are today. So thank you for that.
So you've led the pack, but I recognize it. An army, and maybe also that smaller group of people that have, been on the front line for a long, long time.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really good point that, we need community, right?
Yeah.
We can't do it all.
Yeah.
So are you able to share with us, I guess, you've been a single mum for how long?
Yeah, it would be 16 years. Yeah, it would be 15, 16.
So when I met you and Lucy was 18 months, so literally 6 months, that would probably make sense that it wasn't long
before I ended up on my own.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Lucy was around 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had 2, 4, 6 and 8-year-old, and went from being a very traditional, picture perfect Pajero driving Ralph Lauren clothed children to being a single parent. And really, I mean, obviously there were things happening throughout leading into that moment, but it was a relatively big shift and change, and it was something that I didn't really see coming. I in reflection, I guess you do see it coming, but I didn't see that was where it was at. I would have said we actually had quite a good marriage and a good family. So to then be faced with this reality that there was a whole life happening outside of that marriage that I didn't really know about, well hidden within the design of work and the commitments of work and all those sorts of things, and having in the trenches of having 4 young children.
I mean, you were just getting through.
Yeah. I think, so it went from being, it wasn't overnight, obviously, but we went from being a very traditional, very secure family to not being one.
Yeah. And you were involved in a church.
Yeah.
He was, very successful in his career.
Yeah.
Like, as you said, on
paper.
Yeah. And I do remember that time, and obviously the scenario's often quite textbook with his choices and the extra person in the marriage that you weren't aware of.
Yeah.
And I do remember some of those times when you were kind of, I guess, faced with the reality. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I do remember you guys, like, it all blew up, and then you were like, okay, we need to try and fix this, or, resolve and make this work. That's correct, isn't it?
Yeah. So, so many elements to this story, but we were, my husband had an affair, and he had been quite long-standing affair, which was the other real big surprise. So it wasn't like it was a quick thing. It had been going on for a significant amount of time, and they had established their own truth in terms of what that relationship looked like. And at the time, we were involved with the church, and I had one of the pastors of the church just speak this life that actually a bruised wreath won't break. Like, it's going to be okay. Whatever it is, it's going to be okay. And I felt like I wanted to stand before my kids and be able to genuinely tell them that I fought for their family, and that I would fight to keep us together.
Yeah.
And so he came back after having left, and was welcomed back into our home. We spent some time with a wonderful counsellor in the sunny coast, Ray, and we spent a week up there with him. And it was amazing that you could go from one extreme to the other. But there were some conditions around what that relationship was going to look like, and if one of those conditions were if they were broken, then that was it, and that's exactly what happened. And that was at that point there was no return really, and I think I feel like I could stand before them and tell them that there was nothing more I could have done to fight for us as a unit to stay together. And now I look back and I'm such a different person to that person. And I like myself so much more now than I did back then.
Yeah.
And as much as I wouldn't want to go through that, I don't think that's like an ideal scenario. I'm grateful for who I've become in that journey and who my kids have become in that journey.
Oh, absolutely. I think, and when you look back at that woman, like, who was it harder for? Was it the mum in you? Was it the wife in you? Was it just the woman in you? Like, I mean, it's probably a stupid question. It was probably, no, it wasn't. It was brutal across all of those identities. But which was the most difficult, do you feel, looking back at yourself?
I think the mum of trying to keep this unit together that was perceived the perfect unit. I think the woman's was probably the thing that must be still to this day is it must be not really been explored in terms of the impact that it was on her. But I feel like the mum and the wife got dealt with. The wife became no more, and that was okay. But the mum became very protective of her cubs for sure. And who became part of that community were very clearly people that were going to build us as a unit.
Yeah.
And I was very grateful for the people that came in. And some came in for a very short period of time and left, and that was okay. And others, are still in it, and I'm very grateful for that. But yeah, I think that the woman is most probably the one that gets left behind.
Well, and I know you and I had lots of conversations. I mean, there was no time for the woman, right? You had 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, right? 4,
2, 4, 6, 8. Sorry. Did I have another one?
Yeah. No. Don't tell anyone.
Where are they?
No. Yeah. Right. And you went into pretty much lockdown of how am I going to do this? And, even financially and all the things.
Yeah.
So there was no time for the woman. No time for the woman. And I think the wife, she got parked, right? But tough. And I think it's a conversation, for a lot of humans experience affairs that, sometimes sever relationships, sometimes people repair and bounce back. None of it's easy, no matter what.
Either way.
And I sit with couples in all stages of the process. And it's one of those things that I feel like almost, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like because it's so common, it's normalized, right? But there's nothing normal to the despair of the experience. And I only can say that from observation, haven't lived it, but I think from your perspective, you would say, the earth shattering.
Yeah, it's very normal in society. It's very
kind of like, oh, well, there you
go. But there is nothing that prepares you for, facing that reality to yourself and to your family and ultimately, obviously, to the kids. They were very young and, I promised them that I'd always tell them the truth, but it would always be age appropriate. And so the decisions that were made outside of me and the impact that it had wasn't just for that month. The impacts were vast, long to today, to their future, to all everything. There are always truths that are coming through that they're dealing with. Each of them dealing with them differently, and so it doesn't just happen, and then it's not like a broken leg that you then just put to the side and it heals, and then you're fine. Every age has and every moment in their life has a different impact that it has a different impact. So it's just been something that we've had to guide right and continue to do so, and it manifests itself in multiple different ways. So I think that the reality that it was a life-changing thing, but the ramifications are just so. I often I was chatting to a male friend and I was like, man, I would love to talk to men and just say before they make those decisions, just be real, like this is what these are the impacts, not just for that moment where she finds out and you get caught or whatever, but the countless moments at sport, at school, at parties, at 21st, at 18th, at speeches, at weddings, at engagements, at it, should they get engaged? What does a marriage look like? Endless, endless impact. And I just think men are told a lie in society that says that it's actually just it's all cool, mate. Like people just happen. Yeah, and people make mistakes. Yeah, people. Oh, wowza. Yeah, it was a pretty big one to make.
If you've been listening and watching to this podcast and thinking, I really like what is going on here, there's a high chance that you're going to love my app. 360 Woman app was created for you and me, for the woman, the wife, the mother who just wants some personal growth, who wants to understand themselves, who wants to pursue themselves. So don't stop here at the podcast. Jump on over to 360 Woman, download the app, and I promise you won't be disappointed. The link is in the description of the podcast. Easy to find. I'll see you there.
And then, ultimately for it to not work. And for some people,
but I would say that's very rare.
Yeah.
Very rare. And do you think your ex, he regretted the decision?
Yeah, I think he regretted the loss of what he left behind.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah. Because he thought he could take an element of that.
This is a thing, right? Because people are not often, with those kind of decisions that they're not really thought through, right? They're not thought through. And it's very here and now, this is my need and this is what I am lacking. And so it's very short-sighted. And
that was never going to follow him. This family unit, the kids that life.
But he believed it.
Do
you know what I mean? Like that's part of the lie of it, isn't it? Yeah.
So the kids all made very clear areas of their lives that they just didn't want, him in. And he was very sporty. So, I think if now he has ultimately passed away through, again, that's a very long story. But, I think of even just with Lucy getting drafted, to not be a part of that when I know that for him would have just been, or watching Zach get engaged or watching Annie become a teacher and he studied teaching, watching Millie travel through Europe, all of them doing stuff that he would have been proud. He would have been proud of, and he'll never be part of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if we can, let's go there because, you were navigating single parenting for kids and he wasn't very present.
No.
Right?
No.
It wasn't like you had shared custody or anything like that. And from my memory, he was quite often didn't show up when he was going to show up. I actually remember Lucy's birthday party, and I think her third or fourth. I remember that. And you were like, I'm not sure if he's coming. So I know that, he wasn't the reliable dad for whatever reason. Then he went down his own path and ultimately passed away very tragically, really tragically. How many years after?
It would be 8 years after. I was probably 8 years after. Yeah, 8 or 9. The kids were still super young, really.
Yeah.
So when he left, we made I made a decision that he would come into our home for dinner once a week. And he was very honoured in our home. And I think I don't think the kids ever really saw themselves as a single mum family. They would watch ads for Christmas when you had to buy presents for the mum that's living in their car because of domestic violence or whatever. And they'd be like, oh, we should do that because, we want to give that family, we want to help that family. Yeah. And they weren't aware that actually wasn't a domestic violence issue, but that our family our unit was different and broken. So, and again, super grateful for that. And that's the tribe, that's the community that kind of gathered around.
But also, can I just say, like, the fact that you allowed him, respected him enough, well, maybe it was more about the kids, to have him in your home, like that's not a common response, especially for the choices he'd made to really hurt you as a woman and as a wife. I think, and that's why I use it as an example, because I think that's not the norm.
Yeah.
Right.
But it did create an environment of honor for the kids. And I feel like honor creates security and safety. And so
you made that choice.
I made that choice. And it wasn't always easy.
No.
But it was something that was very clear to me that needed to happen. And I felt like although I felt the responsibility was unjust, I felt like the decisions that other people had made defined that moment for the kids, but my decisions were going to define their future.
Yeah.
And so how we walked this out was that I would generally look back and reflect on them as adults and go, okay, that is because of these decisions. Not because I'm great, but because I chose to put them first.
Along with your grief sitting right alongside of that, right? And often probably having to ignore it.
Yeah.
Right? I would imagine there would have been some Sunday night dinners when you wanted to get a fork and use it, not on your meal.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So I think that, is incredible. And I hear a lot in my rooms, women especially saying, I'm doing it for the kids. But it doesn't always land well.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's that undertone of sarcasm, bitterness, whereas I guess what you're showing is that purest place of I had to surrender myself in that process.
Yeah. And I knew justice wasn't mine to get, really. Like I wasn't going to get any.
Did he ever say sorry?
Yeah, he did. I think, he did, but it didn't even really matter. Yeah. And I had to put to rest a lot of the pressures and expectations of what a family should look like. I had to put all that to the side, and I had to create a new expectation of what we were going to look like as a family. And so we started to do some really cool things that were just our family. And so the joy that came out of that was that I read a book called My Single Mum's Life. It was an American. I would never have bought it in 100 years. She had a white suit on with these 4 kids wrapped around her. And I was like, oh my God, there's no way. Anyway.
You bought it.
I bought it and read it. And it was most probably, one of the most life-changing books for me, in that it created this thought around creating a new way that your family is going to operate. So she had 4 young children, same ages, similar church kind of background, and then she ended up being on her own. Her story was obviously different, but she then created new traditions. We did a lot of traditions of family. We loved Christmas, we loved Easter, we did all those things. So to make our family of 5, which was now what we were, whole or excited and doing all those things, created a whole new set of traditions, and that included when you turned 10, you went on a mystery.
Yeah, I remember
a mystery. I think we did the table decorations. We had what we called a boydie pick and do. So there was a basket of activities by the front door. When things were getting a bit stressed, we'd just pick one out and we all had to do it. That didn't have any technology or phone. So it might be fish and chips on the beach or hot chocolate at the top of Mount Lofty or whatever. But we did a whole series of different things. Some of them was go around the streets, take photos, and then we made books. And every year I would make a book of the things that we did, and they would get that in their Christmas stocking every year.
Yeah.
And it was to celebrate the fact that our new thing and this new way of us as a family is actually really good.
We're actually awesome.
We are awesome, and it's going to be okay. And that's where I think that deficiency.
Stop looking on focusing at the empty seat.
We didn't have.
Yeah.
We actually filled that with enormous, amounts of activities, and and then the kids are very involved with sport and were able to achieve really good high levels with that. And you know, but we really shift the narrative around the lack, and we really turned it around. And look, please, there's no rainbows and unicorns. It didn't, there weren't sparkles flying from the ceiling every 5 minutes. But the underlying culture
message,
and the message to the kids and to myself was that actually bad things happen to good people, and that's not going to define our future. And we get to be part of making our future. And so, we just changed it up.
So, as you said, no rainbows and unicorns.
Because I don't want people to think, oh,
look at her.
Yeah, like, gee, wow, she's, it didn't come without an expense. It was costly.
Yeah.
It was they were costly decisions.
Yeah.
They were costly around, what I really wanted to do and what would have sufficed, my frustration and needs.
Yeah.
Just realizing that it just wasn't worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I thought a lot about how I could hurt people.
Yeah.
And what I could do. And I'd planned out multiple ways.
I think you and I had
many discussions. Yeah.
So we ride at dawn.
Yeah. We ride at dawn. And so,
stilettos.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you remember?
Yeah. And so so it's not to say that that wasn't real.
Pain was real.
Yeah. It was very real.
And I and I know because I know you, but I think you'd be able to say to someone listening and watching this is that there were multiple moments of anguish.
Yeah.
Right? Of how is this my life?
Yeah.
He's screwed up.
Yeah.
He made that choice and now I have to sort this out.
Yeah.
The rage.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
it's very real. But I think it just wasn't worth it.
No.
It's just not worth it, actually.
No.
If that would, if someone said to me, what would be a piece of advice to someone going through, and one of the things is it's just not worth it.
Yeah.
To put your kids through more pain, it's just not worth it.
Yeah, because even though you might have been, making great choices for them, if you were not living authentically to that and behind closed doors, we were riding at dawn, all those kind of things, they pick up on that.
Yeah.
You can't have your foot in each camp. No. And I think it's also really important to acknowledge that you don't have to be perfect all the time.
Yeah.
And that sometimes you would interchange between the wife in you or the ex-wife in you having really bad days.
Yeah.
Right?
For sure.
And being so angry at him for what he has done to your children as a bare minimum. Because it's the ultimate betrayal, isn't it? I hope you're really enjoying the content that you're listening to and watching today. If you are loving this podcast, I need your help. Please like and subscribe and share this with anyone and everyone that you think will really benefit from this. This will help me grow the podcast for content, for guests, and for lots of other things that I have planned. Keep enjoying. And as you said, the ripple effect.
Yeah.
The ripple effect.
Yeah.
And so 8 years after he left the marriage, or you ended the marriage ultimately, he passed away unexpectedly.
Yeah, I was at work and got a phone call. The police had come to the ward and they'd found him. Someone had done a wellness check and they'd found him passed away. We hadn't had a lot to do with him leading into that. The kids had very little to do with him, and it was always with me there. But yeah, very, very sad. And just a tragic end to his life and I guess, to your family unit. I actually still remember you calling me. And I remember it was like a 5 a.m. call. Yeah. And I still remember your voice around, you'd obviously, the shock in you was, and I think I put on clothes and came down, you went down at Elg, and it was just that, what? What? Yeah, that's crazy.
And I think one of the things that I remember, with your kids especially, is just them navigating the death of their dad, who had been estranged, really. Like, how it's so difficult to do. Yeah. And then you as a mum walking these 4 kids through something there is no roadmap for.
Yeah. That day we went and got ice cream at down at the Bay, and every year now on his anniversary we go to the same ice cream shop and get ice cream as a team.
Yeah.
And it's important to honor that. But yeah, it was a crazy time, and it was a very big jump from being a single parent to a sole parent. And I didn't quite anticipate that.
Tell me about that.
As a single parent, there's always kind of this view that the other parent will be there in some capacity. They kick an arm point.
Yeah.
They'll do something to be part of their world, and you will be able to have them invest into their world in some form or fashion,
even if it's minor.
Yeah,
it's just something.
Well, they're there somewhere, and ultimately he was a good man. He did love his kids, and he was a very passionate dad in his brokenness. But but then to realize that I was actually a sole parent.
Yeah.
Now there was some relief in that in some ways, because I didn't have to face having to deal with that. But also my kids were never going to have the chance that he could have got better. And it was very final. So it had mixed emotion.
Yeah,
hope's a powerful thing.
Hope's a powerful thing. And I guess in that circumstance, there was no hope.
No hope.
That was it.
It was done. And it has brought peace.
Yeah.
In the brokenness, but it's also brought a level of sadness that they must reach and anticipate as well. But yeah, I don't think anyone can prepare you for any of those journeys, but I do think there are ways to navigate it which are helpful. And I don't think we do it particularly well as a society. I think we're left on our own. If that's your choice, it's easy just to not have a community. So the kids have had community around them, whether that's me in my community or football or school or church or whatever. They've found community, and they've really loved community. Like, it's something that's been really, and that's an interesting part of who they are. They're very community-driven people, yeah. And I wonder whether that's because they've seen the value of community in their own lives.
What do you think for communities we need to, in these scenarios? Because I feel like, even in the church and in different communities, you hear of families splitting up because of X, Y, and Z. We're generally good in the moment, right? Eye of the storm, Mills got it sorted. But what do you think we need to do better?
Yeah, I think that, I think the partner, the woman or the man, so not always obviously the woman, but the parent at home, I think they need to be comfortable with opening up to community. Like, that's a big thing, because it's hard to trust.
And also, there's often aspects of shame and embarrassment around, I can't believe this has happened to me. And I think there's still those stereotypical and social constructs around, well, how did you not know?
Yeah.
Or, well, obviously you haven't been investing in your marriage. Or, do you know what I mean?
Slight judgment associated.
There's still a lot of judgment.
Yeah. And I'm a different person now compared to that person all those years ago. But in terms of that narrative of the whose fault it was, or that sort of stuff. But I do think that community, I think we need to be comfortable with inviting people into the place, into the home, into the space, to be able to fill it with new. I do think there is value in creating new traditions. I do think we need to let our kids be real and vulnerable about how they're feeling, and not just try and smooth everything over. I was judged enormously in the church, but I'll never forget someone saying to me, look, we know that you're a single mum, and so they don't have a dad. So there's just this essence of like there was some justification of behavior or whatever. I can't even remember the full thing. And I'm just like, are you? Yeah, wow. Like, really? That's supposed to be the safe place. I just think society is quick to judge. So you got to find your tribe. You have to find your tribe of people that, now for us, footy was a huge thing. So the footy club was amazing. My girls played, all of them played footy, and which was at that point, all those years ago, was even still quite new for girls to be playing. I mean, the discussion with my girls, the fact that I wasn't allowed to play football is crazy to them. They just cannot believe that you weren't allowed to play.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, creating the right people and the tribe around you that are going to make you bigger and not smaller, and going to expand your space and not shrink it, is really important, wherever that comes,
whatever it looks like.
And if someone's shrinking you,
bye-bye.
Get out.
And do you think there was a different on impact, or just, I guess, the processing between Zach and the girls?
Very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Zach tried to become the head of the house because that's what he saw as the needed, and that was what he was taught, which I quickly took off of him. It was not his job.
Yeah.
And so that was a very physical taking off that mantle that wasn't his to carry. And I think that brought freedom for him.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. It was different for him. Yeah. I just felt, I always worried about him because he was the girls. I was kind of like, I've got the girls, but I wanted to make sure that he was going to be okay. And I had a picture of him at his 21st, and he was going to be fine. And we had his 21st a couple of years ago, and I said that in his speech, and I was like, this picture was the picture that got me through, is that you were going to be okay, and he's more than okay, And so, yeah, you got to hold on to those truths, all those little things, write them down, hold them dear, because they are the thing that breathe life into when it really is days that you feel like you can't breathe. Yeah. And they all found their little tribes, and I loved that, and to encourage that. Different to what I would have picked,
Yeah. Well, you would never have had a roadmap for no one ever does. No, this is not how we don't stand and go, this is what my life's going to look like. Yes, roll this out.
Yeah. So they all found their group. Well, they're continuing to find their groove, and they're navigating that life.
And you found your groove by going back to uni.
Yeah, I went back
like a little psycho. You were like, oh no, I've got an idea.
And let's do
a uni degree.
And I'm crazy one at that.
I know, midwife.
Yeah, midwife.
Far out. Yeah. I still remember when you told me I'm going to be a midwife. I'm like, of course you are.
Yeah.
I'm going back to uni full time as a sole parent.
Yeah. Full time, and worked pretty much full time, and as a sole. Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah, I know. But again, that was a choice, and I felt like it was a picture to the kids that,
what an example.
Someone, and I said to them, those decisions don't get to define what my tomorrow is going to look like. And I'm so grateful I did it, because then COVID hit, and gosh, if I was still back in tourism, I wouldn't have, I don't know what I would have done.
Yeah.
In terms of money, I was in a very secure role. There was always going to be babies, and continue to do that today, and the kids are super proud of that. So yeah, midwifery is crazy, but it's it's the right place for me for now.
So you needed to be. And so now that the kids are all grown up, are you finding yourself, because I know Lucy's literally moved 3 weeks ago?
Yeah.
To Perth, and do you feel like it's maybe one of the first times in 16 years that it's kind of like, okay.
Yeah, it's a very strange place to be. I've used the kids as a wonderful excuse to be unavailable for multiple things. And it's a legitimate one, but it was an easy one to use. So,
because it's acceptable too, right?
It's very noble.
Yeah.
it's very noble to not be able to do those things because you've got 4 children at home. It's very noble. I don't have that so much anymore.
Do you think back then you knew that you were hiding?
I think it was very legitimate, but
Of course.
I think it was easy to say no.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just easier to say no. And it's, it was just easy just to put that in front as the reason why I couldn't do that or whatever. I think a year ago I wouldn't have been ready, but I feel like I am more ready now than I've ever been for this next chapter. And I look back on, like, even the draft, Lucy getting drafted, the investment that went into getting her to that point, and then her ultimately fulfilling our dream. We just giggled to ourselves thinking, like, can you believe this has actually happened as the youngest of the crew, So, yeah, I think I'm ready for what that might look like, more around who I want to be in that space. It's not a dating thing. Don't get too excited.
Always. But when you're ready,
no. It's more that actually I actually like who I am, and I want to learn more, and I want to advocate for more, and I want to have a voice in different spaces, and I want to travel, and I want to, do those things that I haven't, I want to say yes to more, I guess, than I have. I wouldn't have been ready to do that last year. So I feel like the timing is right. And which is crazy.
Crazy, but so exciting and probably a little bit nerve-wracking because when you say yes to things, you don't know where that leads. But
no, which is, even when you were asking about this again,
I wanted to say no. I said no a few times.
Yeah. But it is that thing of, like, actually, I'm more than happy to talk to anyone about my journey. I don't feel like what I did was anything special, but I do feel like there are keys in there that not everybody gets to do.
Yeah, like, let's put this in perspective. Your story and who you are and the way you've, I guess, rolled it out is unique to you. But there are ingredients in there that will be life-changing for someone, just one person listening today, right? Because it's not the normal way, and I say that to respond to the scenario that you responded to. And not to say there's right ways or wrong ways, right?
Yeah.
But that's why I said at the beginning, I was very specific about wanting you because I think the way you speak, I think, is very powerful. And we need to have these conversations. Yeah. We really do. Not to say your way is the only way, but your scenario was unique to you.
Yeah.
And you were just trudging through the trenches, giving it a go, falling over, getting back up. And you're now at this side going, all right, I didn't do too bad.
Yeah. I don't want people to hear that my way is
no,
because I don't like there's no judgment attached to anyone's decisions on how they've navigated this space. Like people that have done this and then got to the end and it's not been quite what they are thinking, maybe I should have done X, Y, and Z. No, you did what you knew to do at the time.
You couldn't do it differently.
And you couldn't do it differently. Yeah. So I'm just grateful that the books that came into my life, the podcasts that came into my life, the resources that came into my life, everything came in at the right time.
Yeah.
And they provided me with tools that helped me make decisions.
And you had the choice, right?
I had the choice, and I listened, and I opened my heart to what was right. Now, prominently, that was around me and the kids.
Yeah.
It wasn't necessarily about me as the woman. It was largely around me and the kids. The me and the woman is most probably now what I'm saying.
This is that new chapter.
That's the new chapter. Is what does she, what is it that she ultimately?
Who does she want to
be?
Yeah.
And that's pretty cool.
That's really cool. And I think it's not late in coming. It's not early. I think it's just
the time.
It's just right for now.
Right.
Tell me, what would you, if you could go back to yourself, who that moment in time that you found out that life was about to turn, what would you say to her in that moment? If you whispered in her ear.
I would tell her, actually 2 things. I would tell her that her kids are going to be proud of who she is and that you're going to like yourself more.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And that, yeah, you're going to be a better human for it. My whole being is better for it. In that I'm a much better human.
Yeah.
For having navigated all that life has thrown.
Yeah.
And embraced that, and that has shaped who I am.
Yeah.
You know, you see, the classic stories of the tapestry of what we see on the outside, and you flip the tapestry around, and it's just this woven mess of things. That's your life. That is my life, and the tapestry just keeps getting, made. Where you find your faith, or where you find your strength, or where you find, and for me, there's been a massive shift in some of those discussions. But ultimately, I believe that life is good, and that people are inherently good, and that I want to make the people around me be part of making life better. And you get to choose that. Yeah. And we are a little tribe. There's there's a lot. There's a lot of us. We're an instant party, when we're together. So, yeah.
And that's only going to grow and grow.
Yeah.
Gosh. Have you ever sat back and gone, oh, gosh, imagine if it hadn't gone down like this?
Yeah. The kids tell me often how lucky I am that they're so, cool.
So cool.
Or that, you should see what some of my friends are doing, Mum.
Hilarious.
Of course. Yeah. Or what the kids at school are doing, or what I'm like, oh, I'm so lucky.
So lucky.
So, yeah.
And sue me. Sue. And what about if you were to imagine if you'd stayed married?
Oh, yeah. I often think of that. Yeah. I wouldn't be who I am now.
No.
I wouldn't have been allowed to be who I am now.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I think I would have looked at her and been a bit sad for her.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Yeah. That something that was so, at some level in the beginning catastrophic, right, has now become this moment of, I'm really grateful. What would you say to him if he was alive and in a, I guess, a healthier so you're able to have a adult conversation?
I would hope he found peace in those decisions, and was very clear that didn't mean there was ever a chance for reconciliation.
Yeah.
Because that was always the fine line. Because that was never going to happen. Yeah, that he's forgiven. It would have been time for him to move on and be healthy and whole, so that he can be the best version of who he is. Yeah. And that's not to downplay. Again, you hold all this stuff. This is a lot of years down the track. This is a lot of change. This is not. This is reflecting back on what has been a very long journey. I think he's been passed away for like 6 years, 6 or 7 years.
It's been like 16 years since the separation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So So yeah. 20. Well, I can't remember. So it's a lot of time. So it doesn't. This who I am right now has had a lot of. She's had a lot of time.
Yeah.
But I'm glad to have got to here.
Yeah. You should be really proud of yourself, and no wonder the kids are proud of you. And I think, that space around separation and divorce is really sad.
Yeah, really sad.
It's really sad. Yeah. And I will always say that.
Yeah.
I'm not a big advocate of people should stay together for no. Right. That's not what I'm saying. But even for him, like for me, there's real compassion for him.
Yeah.
I knew him. He made some really dumbass decisions, but we make decisions out of brokenness and unresolved scenarios that you and I know. And so I have empathy for that. And I just think it comes back to that space around if he had had the ability to do the work on himself and then effectively the marriage, and that it could have looked so different, right? There's always possibility. But where we don't hold the light up, the work can't get done. And I guess that's one of those sad scenarios, isn't it? And the example of the snowball effect.
Yeah.
And that's a tragedy.
Yeah. It's absolute tragedy.
Absolute tragedy.
Yeah. And as that sits, it's a tragic story. But the fruit from it has been that we look out on it now and go, yes, in an ideal scenario, none of that would have happened.
Correct. Yeah.
And we would still be fulfilled and amazing.
Yeah.
But I think that because of that, we are a different unit. My kids are different kids.
Yes.
If they've been brought up differently.
Well, the fruit out of that tragedy is evident.
Yeah.
Right. But you can imagine if I'd said that to you day one, you'd be like, sorry, what?
Yeah.
You know, like you can't imagine. And, you know, I never use the term, I'm going to say it, but I never use the term time heals.
Yeah.
Because I think that's flippant and not even necessarily correct. But, you know, everything has its season, doesn't it?
Time creates space, and space creates ability to make good choices. And
that, my friend, you've done many over and over and over again. And I, for one, am looking forward to the next chapter to see where she treads her little footprints.
Yeah.
I feel like this is just the beginning of the powerhouse.
Wow, it's a new chapter for sure. Yeah. It's crazy, but it feels a very definite chapter change. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, I want to say thank you for finally coming and saying yes when you wanted to say no. Thank you for your honesty. Thank you for your vulnerability. Thank you for your friendship. I've had the privilege of kind of just being in and around your world for a little while now. And I know that, you know, and I often say this, like with all my conversations, even in my counselling room and just at the grocery store, I just think one life can get impacted. And if that's one life, then it's worth everything. And I just know that there's going to be one person of whoever that listens to this, watches this and goes, oh, okay. And makes one choice that might be different, that picks up something from your wealth of trenches and work. And I think that's what this is about, is that, you know, championing other humans on with, hey, been there, okay. You're going to be okay. Trust me. We can't do the work for anyone, but these kind of conversations give people permission to go, okay, let me go day by day, one day at a time. So thank you for coming.
My pleasure.
If you made it to the end of this podcast, congratulations. And I'm so thankful. Make sure you put it in your diary. Every 2 weeks, an episode drops with great content, great humans, with great stories and information that hopefully can support you. If this podcast reminded you of someone in your life that absolutely needs to hear it, send them the link. They'll thank you later.